Perfect.
Okay, here we go.
All right, I'm gonna share this for you. You can see that okay. All right, perfect. All right, well, hello everybody. My name is Chris Reel, and I'm one of the trainers here with Reminder Media. I want to thank you all for giving me a few minutes of your time today. Dana said I know he and Janet have been using us for quite some time now, so I just want to thank them both for the business they've given us. So I'm going to try to be quick. I know Danny wanted to keep it at 10 minutes, they told me, so I'm going to cut out some of the NAR slides as far as the data goes, kind of just get into the meat of it. What our magazines are geared to do is keep you connected to your past clients and your sphere and those hot prospects that you're nurturing on a personal level to drive repeat and referral business. Now, these are the 4 magazines that we have. The American Lifestyle is our flagship. It's all general interest. It's got leisure, art, travel, design, and recipes. Start Healthy is general health and wellness. There's mind and body, basic fitness and exercise. The recipes are all healthy in this one. And then the articles throughout are like how to detox your body, foods that'll boost your immunity, the benefits of drinking a half a gallon of water a day, things like that. Now, the third one is Good to Be Home. And this one's all real estate and home design content. Tips to increase the value of your home, how to stage your house if you want to sell it, being more efficient with the utilities or things that'll make your moving day easier. There's a ton of outdoor yard and garden stuff too. This Business in Action is the newest one. We created this originally for the financial sector. But if you ever work with small business owners and investors, this is the one that they'll gravitate towards. It's all about investing, financing, and then different strategies to grow and operate businesses and so forth. Now, the neat thing about this, you can alternate between the magazines as much as you like. So whether you want to do a one-size-fits-all, send all of one magazine one time and pick a different one the next, or what we did 6 months ago, now with each mailing, you can tailor which magazine each person gets. So there's a lot more flexibility with it. Now, to give you a visual perspective, if you haven't seen this before, Architectural Digest or Southern Living, we look and feel exactly like they do. It's a high gloss cover, 48 pages of full color, but it's got that nice heavier paper too, not that clipper stuff. Number one thing everybody loves, very easy to customize and maintain. So I'm going to start with the front cover. Picture, contact info, and logo over here. Top corner, it's going to say compliments of you. In my case, compliments of Chris Reel. Now, if you have a partner or a team, we can fit team pictures here as well. For each edition, there's usually about 15 different cover options to choose from with all different themes on it. So you will have a wide variety to pick from. Now, when I flip over to the inside cover, again, your branding is also here, but there's a letter that you're going to tailor to your clients. 2 ways to do the letter. One, if you're a plug and play person like myself, you can have one nice letter in there that's to everybody, and whichever, what the body of it, I should say, is going to be still the same for everyone, but the letter will be individualized. It's going to say, Dear Bill and Judy, Dear Tom and Sarah, not Dear Value Client or Resident, which everybody hates. In our interface that we give you, we actually have letters already drawn up for you too, if you want to save yourself time, and you can edit them. So if you want to take out a paragraph and add some of your own words, you could do that. Now, the other option, you can write the entire letter yourself, and it can be specific to one of your clients' events in their life. So say somebody had a birthday or a newborn baby, and you just want to specifically address that just to that person in their magazine, you could do that too. It just comes down to how much time you want to put into it. Now, we also give you 2 tear-out cards. I call them the ultimate business card. So again, on one side, branding, but on the other side, we have a lot of options to put on the back. We always default to the recipes, but recipes might not be your thing. We got motivational quotes, there's trivia games, there's do-it-yourself projects for the home, health and fitness stuff. I mean, there's stuff for the vets, pets, kids, whatever you think of, it'll be there. If you have something special you want us to throw in the back for you, send it over to us. We'll do that too. So you also have the entire back cover, inside and out, to customize. Again, in the interface, we give you a lot of template ads you can pick from, like the one you're looking at here. But what a lot of agents like to do with their back cover is they put their listings and recently sold here. So anytime you have a listing, if you want to feature it in the magazine, you could do that. If there are no current ones at the time, but you want to showcase different houses you've been able to find and sell for people, that's another option for you too. And then one other cool thing with the back cover is you could sell it. It's your magazine. You own it. If you want to co-brand, team up with a lender, a builder, or any vendor that you know that'll offset your cost, you can also do that too. So when it comes to marketing tools, I mean, there's a lot of things out there you can do. I really broke this down into 2 sections. You look to the left, you're going to see the dinners, the bottles of wine, and gift cards and baskets. Great closing gifts, but they're not cost effective. If we try and do this and sustain it over a long period of time for everybody we close and or meet, we end up working for free. Now on the right, very cost effective. The newsletters, the flyers and emails, I don't want to beat this stuff up. I think everything serves a purpose to some extent. At the end of the day, though, you do want to maximize your shelf life in the home. So think about yourself. You're all in sales, but you're still consumers. You buy cars, you buy furniture and jewelry. When you go home at night and you grab your mail, say somebody sends you a newsletter or a flyer, 99% of the time after you look at it, where does it end up? And if you're like me, it will not make it past your mailbox. I call this stuff lottery marketing. If the numbers don't match that day for something specific we're looking for, we're throwing out the tickets. That is the number one reason why agents use us. We get you onto the coffee table, and this will serve as a visual reminder that you value the relationship. I always say it's like a mini billboard in the home, but we've been doing it 20 years now. We have our average, our minimum shelf life, I should say, is 4 weeks, but the average time in the home is 6 to 7 weeks is what most people keep it. So to keep you top of mind at all times, it's going to make you look great. But the most important thing, in my opinion, it gives you an excuse to reach out, check in with these people throughout the year, see how they're doing, what they thought of the magazines. Maybe they tried some recipes and things that are in there, but then you can feel comfortable at the end of that call. Remind them that you need referrals and ask them who they know that'll love the magazine like they do, that you can introduce yourself to, that'll be buying or selling in the upcoming markets. Okay. So that's the nurturing side of this. Now, on the prospecting side of it, two things. My wife is a realtor here in Pennsylvania, so there's her magazine. What I always do is I always send 15 magazines to us, and I have a bio letter about her in the front, and I have testimonials in the back. And then I put them in local businesses, both our doctors, our dentist, our hair and nail salon, my barber shop, and our pediatrician. And I leave them in the waiting room on the table, like face in line, because the people that don't look at their phones, they flip through magazines when they're waiting to be serviced. The rest of them still hold on to. So when she goes out on listing appointments or does open houses, he uses them as a first impression piece instead of just handing a business card, because they really add validity to your brand when you meet somebody new for the first time as well. So we can customize these different ways. They hit different campaigns of your business in each batch. So it's not just like a one-trick pony per se. All right. Now, the next slide I have is going to be the incentives that we have going right now. But before I get into the numbers, any questions on the concept?
And I will say,
Okay.
if you guys haven't seen the magazine, we have samples at the Uptown office, and I believe I also left some of the samples at the Washougal office. They're a very nice quality, beautiful magazine. So if you want to kind of put your hands on it, if you're thinking about it, let me know, and I'll make sure you get to do that.
Perfect. Perfect. Okay. So what we're doing right now, folks, for the fall is we're just offering a one-time mailing. If you like what you see, you could try it once. There's no commitment. And that way you can actually get it out, get it in your client's hands. And if you like it and you do want to continue, that's always our goal. If you did it once and thought, hey, this isn't for me, there's no obligation. We just shut it right down. Before I do show you the numbers, we have two new things we did roll out. This is an AI program. We released it a year ago. It's called Target Follow-Up. It takes your entire database and it runs it through these predictive analytics, even down to what people click on and look up on Facebook and Google. It can also identify if they went to websites like Zillow and Realtor.com, and then it scores the database from first to last, telling you who the most prime targets that will buy or sell in the upcoming months based on those analytics and social media behavior. Since we rolled it out, it's been consistently operating in the 70 percentiles as far as the accuracy goes, identifying these people. So it's getting a ton of our agents in front of these people now at the right time if they're clicking on stuff for themselves, family, and friends that the agents didn't know they were doing so. So it's really been a game changer. In fact, I'll tell you, just to kind of elaborate, when you run your list through it, and when it comes back, it doesn't come back numbered like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It comes back in brackets of people. So the first bracket says very likely to move. The next bracket of people would say likely to move, then neutral, and all the way down. What we found out over the last year, 1 out of every 4 people, as an average, in the very likely and likely to move brackets are converting into transactions for our agents. So it's pretty good numbers there too. And then also QR codes. If you have a QR code or you'd like us to create you one, that'll take people to your website. Or 5 months ago, we actually we rolled out, we have a variety of landing pages now that we will give you to capture their info. That's also an option too. Now, if you do pick the landing page, my favorite one's the market analysis tool. That's what I use for my wife. I have a QR code in the front of our magazine. It says, if you're thinking about buying or selling, scan this to see what your house is worth. When I leave them in these businesses now, people are scanning it. It takes them to the landing page and it captures their info, but then it gives them the internet value to their home. We know that the internet is always off with their estimates. They still follow up, give them the full market analysis. And in the last 3 months, he's got a listing that's going to market mid-August and a buyer out of it so far. But he's already gotten 2 deals out of it. since we rolled it out. Okay. And I'm going to come back to this QR code in one quick second. So last slide, here's your numbers. What do you need to set up your account? We have a one-time startup to get going. Now, normally it is $299. When we do these presentations, we knock $200 off. So it's $99 to start. This is a one-time fee. It's not a reoccurring charge, so you'll never pay it again. It does go to multiple things. Now, the first thing is your mailing list. Now, my favorite thing about us, we work off exclusivity. The names and addresses that you send these to, you own them, which means if any other realtor jumps on board and has your contacts on their list, we make them take them off. So this will differentiate you from everybody else out there, okay? So your contacts are protected. Everybody gets their own marketing advisor who's going to be your assistant, and they do all the work. They customize them, they mail them out. The only job that you need to do is get your photos, your list of people and that type of stuff to this coach. Other than that, it's just a matter of picking the covers and recipes. They will do all the heavy lifting, excuse me, the technical and the mailing for you. So we try to make this as turnkey as possible for you. And then price per magazine is $4.99 a piece. It includes everything, all the printing, all those customizations, and postage and handling. So if you actually boil this down, folks, it's cheaper than most Hallmark cards out there these days in the store. Our minimum is just $50, so it comes out to $249.50. Now, you don't pay that up front. When the magazines ship, you'll just pay for them when they go out, but you pick when they go out. There's a deadline every week. Every agent can work at their own pace. So if you want them to hit like, in August, September, October, that's really just up to you. And then that's it. There's no other fees. There are no hidden costs. The price per magazine will not change on you. And when you do get the first one out, you're going to have a couple months to see the impact it has. There's no auto enroll. We'll follow up with you. And if you like it, we would love for you to continue. And like I said, if not, we do shut it right down. And then the last thing is the frequency on how often they go out. You'll see here it says bi-monthly. The normal rotation is every other month. If you need something different than that, just let us know, and we can always work with you with that too. Okay. I do have one special thing I want to do for everybody. Actually, two special things I want to do for everybody before I head out.
Good.
But before I throw that at you, any questions on the pricing?
Actually, I think I'd like these instead. I'm sorry.
A question? All right. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this QR code back up. And if the agents want to pull out their phone, you can scan this. One, you're going to get some samples sent over to you. Two, your info comes over to me. Now, being one of the trainers here, I don't get to follow up and call through the offices like a lot of our sales execs that do these webinars. But I would love to gain some more traction in the office. So anybody that scans this, I'll follow up with you personally. If you do decide to give it a shot, I will pay for the first 15 magazines for anybody that wants to do this. Okay, so it'll be a $74 credit on me when your magazines get shipped. So instead of $249, you would only pay $174. The second thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put my cell phone number in the chat.
I already did. Oh, I put your contact info in the chat.
Okay, so if it's okay with you, I'm going to put my cell phone number in the chat
yeah.
for everybody, and then let me put this in here first. That way, if you want to reach out to me, what I'm going to do is I'm going to raffle off a setup fee. So if anybody's interested, the first person to text me, not only will I give you 15 free, but I'll take care of the setup fee for you as well. Okay, because like I said, we really appreciate the support Dana and Janet's given us. So there's my cell phone number. Like I said,
tell you guys, like, I don't get anything like this is not something that's income earning for the brokerage by putting this in front of you. I use it as an agent. So I'm not saying like, if you sign up for this, then I'm going to get a discount or something like that. Like, I just really, really like this product. And that's why I always have them come out and do their presentation, because I think it's really beneficial. And I think a lot of people kind of miss out on all that it entails. So if you want to talk to me about my experience with it, feel free to reach out. And otherwise, I would jump right on that giveaway to get that setup fee.
Yeah, and I will tell you is we do have an 80% retention rate. 8 out of 10 agents that do try this will stay with us after the first mailing. And last year, in a market where 49% of agents did one deal or less, our agents that sent out our minimum 50 over the course of the year as an average. Now, every agent's different, of course, but as an average, we were tracking a 30% referral rate, which so as an average over the course of the year, they got about 15 referrals. Now, not 15 deals, but 15 referrals as long as they're making the follow-up calls and asking for them. And most agents out there, if you look at the data, close anywhere from 35 to 40% of the referrals they get, up to 65, 70. So kind of do the math. Like I said, every agent's different in their follow-up and stuff like that. But I will tell you that we did have a very good year for the agents that were using it and using it properly. So, but that's why we let you try it once, because the last thing we want you doing is feeling stuck if you don't like it, like a lot of these other wholesalers. So if you like it, you can continue. And if not, like I said, there are no hoops to jump through. We'll shut it right down. So, but that's all I got. So,
This is Janet. I
Hey,
actually
Janet.
use the product. I've been using it for years. Like you said, I just wanted to co-sign on what Shannon was saying. It's a great product. The magazine is nice. I take them on listing appointments. People call if they don't get them. So it is a great investment. So I just wanted to put that in there.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I get the same. I get good feedback on this from the people that I give it to. And I've gotten funny feedback from people too, just sending me a post, taking a picture sitting in their gynecologist office and going, oh, look whose face I see in the magazine rack, because I do send them out to all the offices. I have them on the mailing list, offices that I do business with, and I will carry them with me and leave them places. It's effective.
Yeah, and Janet and Shana, if you haven't used the AI, I would definitely run your list. My wife, like I said, my wife only does real estate part time because we have a personal training studio. We got into business a year ago, just kind of let them feed each other. But from doing that, she got 2 transactions from it, one totaling 1.8 million between the two of them. So I would, if you haven't taken advantage of running the list, I would definitely encourage you to do that too.
I have like not done that. And I definitely plan on it. I didn't even, like I said, I haven't tapped into all the great features that there are, but that's pretty cool.
Okay. The ones that come in very likely to move brackets, they're the ones that you want to put a follow-up phone call to and check in with them, because there's something they did trigger that. So
sweet. All right. Well, thank you very much, Chris. We appreciate it. I need you to turn it back to make me the host.
Oh, absolutely.
You're gone.
Yep.
So that I can go back to our screen share. All right. Thank you so much. And everybody,
no problem.
if you didn't catch the QR code, I took a photo of the QR code and I'm going to post it in our group so that if you need to scan it later, you'll have it.
All right. Perfect. So, yep. So you got my number, got the QR codes. I appreciate everybody's time. So thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. All right. Take care.
All right. Let's see if I can screen share now. I can. Okay. And like I was saying, like, I don't get a kickback on this. I just really like the product. And so I'm sharing it as an opportunity. If you're not into it, totally cool. Moving on. Hang on. I got to figure out why let's see. Okay. What am I sharing right now? What does my screen have on it? Somebody unmute and tell me.
It still looks like the
Reminder Media?
yeah.
Okay.
See what the magazine could look like.
Okay, awesome. Then here we go. All right, so here are, hopefully it changed. We're going to just quickly run through our stats, and then I'm going to talk about a meeting that I was on yesterday about the upcoming NAR settlement changes. So year to date, our brokerage is number 27 out of 276 in Clark County. Being in the top 30 is always my favorite spot to be. So thank you to everybody that has been bringing in the deals. We had a really good June and a really good July, and August is looking awesome. And for the month of June, we are number 26 in sales volume for the Clark County area. So just a little quick peek at how we're doing. Okay, RMLS settlement update. So quick overview. Everybody knows about the NAR lawsuit. If you don't, Google it because it's a thing and it's important. So our MLS sent out an email yesterday or the day before at 3 p.m. to every member. So you got it. Everybody on this call except for Angela got this email. If you don't see it, that's on you. You're an RMLS member, you got the email. And it goes over the high points of the settlement. So this graphic also that I'm sharing right now is a screenshot from the RMLS homepage. If you log on to RMLS, you can scroll down, you will see this. It is there. We're going to talk about the two big things as part of this settlement that as agents you need to be the most aware of, and we need to separate them: listing contracts and buyer broker agreements. Two separate things, both important. Separate them out in your brain as the two parts of this that you need to be paying attention to. Listing contracts. So I was on a Zoom yesterday for designated brokers. Annie Fitzsimmons was on it. The realtor for the lawyer for RMLS was on it. And the tech guy from RMLS was on it. I'm just kind of the broad strokes of what they talked about being important. Neither MLS cares what contract you use. And we've always kind of had that policy. Like if you're putting your listing in the RMLS and the Northwest MLS, you don't need to upload two contracts. You only need one. A little bit of a change to that though. They still don't care what contract you use, but RMLS is requiring that you use their data input sheets. So if you're putting it into both RMLS and Northwest MLS, I do need those initialed RMLS data input sheets, even if you're uploading the Northwest MLS ones as well. So RMLS is requiring their data input sheets. And here's where it gets tricky because we've always been able to use either contract. You can't do that anymore. RMLS contract, very specifically, there can be no mention of commission. Northwest MLS contract, very specifically, you must clarify your commission. So that change is creating two very separate contracts. It's just one little piece, but you can no longer use one contract in both MLS systems. You need one that is very clear with no mention of commission, and then one that clearly describes your commission if you're putting it into both of the MLSs. A couple of clarifying points on that. Well, here are your three options for listing contracts. The RMLS, exclusive right to sell listing contract, that you get in the RMLS as when you upload your listing, when you put all the data in and you click contract, that is the contract that you get. If you use the Northwest MLS contract, Form 1A, the one on top, the top right, Form 1A is only available if you are a full member of the Northwest MLS. If you are a full paying member of Northwest MLS, you have Form 1A, and it will talk about commission the way Northwest MLS wants you to do. RMLS will no longer mention commission. Form 1A, Northwest MLS will mention commission. On the lower right, you'll see Form 1A SWF. And I'm pulling these names from the upper left corner of the form. Form 1A SWF is the form that's available to you as a Washington realtor, whether you are a paying member of Northwest MLS or not. Form 1A SWF has taken out any mention of commission. And if this gets too confusing, unmute yourself and ask me to clarify. But as of right now, everybody on this call who is a Washington agent has two options for listing agreements. They've got the RMLS form and they've got the Northwest MLS 1A SWF. third option, if you are a full paying member of Northwest MLS, you also have Form 1A, Northwest MLS. If you're
Shanna-
only putting, yes, go ahead.
Sorry, so I was listening very closely and I still missed something. What is
Okay.
the difference between the Northwest MLS 1A and Northwest MLS 1A SWF? Is it that you are a full paying member?
Yes. So the 1A, you are a full paying member and you're getting the Northwest MLS contract that wants you to clarify commission for the
Okay.
Northwest MLS. Form
And then-
1A SWF means you are a realtor in the state of Washington, not particularly Northwest MLS. You might be listing in Spokane, you might be listing in Tacoma, whatever it is. This is the state listing form, no mention of commission, because I don't know if the Spokane MLS is a member of NAR and removing commission like the RMLS, or if they're not. RMLS is removing commission, Northwest MLS is not. I don't know about the rest of the state of Washington where I don't practice. So you've got the RMLS form if you're just listing in RMLS. You've got the 1A if you're just listing in Northwest MLS. And you've got the 1A SWF if you are just a Washington agent listing anywhere.
Okay.
And
cool.
again, RMLS and Northwest MLS don't care which contract you use as long as it follows their rules. So RMLS is fine with you using the 1A SWF. They don't care. If that's your habit, if you have been born and raised on Transaction Desk and you just pull your forms right out of Transaction Desk or Zip Forms, you can keep on using that form. 1A SWF has removed commission discussion.
So my question, Shauna, is
Yes, ma'am.
on you said as long as we follow their rules. So on the previous screen, it said that Northwest MLS wants us to include the commission information.
Yes.
So if we're listing in Washington, and I assume none of this applies to the Oregon people, if we're listing in Washington and we're not a member of Northwest MLS, if we use the 1A SWF that doesn't have commission information, are we
There's an
breaking the
addendum.
rule?
Yes, there's an
There's an
addendum.
addendum.
So there's an
Sure. Okay.
addendum to make
course
it
there is.
possible. Yeah. So there's an addendum that you can use. And I'm going to go, I think that's my next screen. Okay. Listing agreement addendum. The one on the left is the one that we have had created in-house. You can add it to the RMLS listing form to use in Northwest MLS. The one on the right is the one that you pull straight out of Northwest MLS, Form 1C. You can use that added to the RMLS contract or the Form 1A SWF. What you have to be really specific and clear with your client is that there are two different, if you're putting it in both systems, you have to just be really clear. This addendum, like if you're filling out the RMLS contract for your listing, and it doesn't really, yes, in Oregon, you're fine because you're not trying to, it's the contract stands on its own because you're not going into any other MLS in Oregon other than the RMLS. This is only if you're trying to get it into both MLSs using one contract. You can't do that anymore. You're going to need the addendum creating two separate contracts, one that mentions commission, one that does not mention commission. Go ahead, Carly.
Can you post a listing into the Northwest MLS if you are not a full paid member?
No, you cannot.
Then what's the point of having two separate forms for it? Like, why would I fill out a 1A SWF if I'm just going to post it in RMLS anyway?
Because a lot of people that are Washington realtors use their Washington forms rather than the way that I've taught you to do it through listing load.
Gotcha.
So we create, Carly and I, and anybody else I've ever taught, we create our listing contract in the RMLS via listing load. Not everybody does that. If you do that, you're fine. If you don't do that, if you use zip forms or transaction desk, that's where this comes in, whether you're going to be a full member using the 1A or a forms use only member using the 1A SWF, and then you need to add an addendum. The reason we created an in-house addendum is because, again, all of this is a work in progress. Like, these rules haven't even gone into effect yet. And I can guarantee you when they do go into effect, it's going to be a clusterfuck and things are going to change. Annie Fitzsimmons was saying yesterday, she does not think that Form 1C is the right form for using the SWF and talking about commission. She thinks there's going to be an evolution of another form. It doesn't exist yet. She said your best bet was to write your own addendum to add commission to your listing. So that's what we did. Go ahead, Deb.
And I'm sorry, you're doing so amazing, and all of these addendums are so fantastic. We need a flow chart.
I know.
Are you listing? Yes. Do you want to be listed in RMLS? Yes. Do you want to be listed in Northwest MLS? If then,
That's
down
exactly. We do
what
need that.
contracts to use. Because right now we have no fucking clue.
Yeah.
None.
Yeah.
So
Do that. Shanna, you
I'm
want me
gonna
to make
help you.
Yeah.
It's flowchart time.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you break it down to its basic elements, it's like you've got your mom and you got your dad and they're getting divorced, and one is going to celebrate Christmas and the other one is celebrating Hanukkah. So you want to make sure you have your Christmas tree at mom's house, but don't bring it over to dad's house. He's got a menorah instead. It's like we're all trying to do the same thing here, but we've got two warring factions wanting to do it differently. So RMLS, and the lawyer was really specific and clear. They will be cracking down and monitoring for any little tricky mentions of courtesy to buyer's agent. Like, it cannot be discussed on their platform. It's a lawsuit. It's a legal agreement. They agreed to something. They can't have their agents mucking it up by being tricky and throwing it into the private remarks. Like, the lawsuit says NAR will no longer talk about commission. RMLS belongs to NAR. So they are on a crackdown. You will not be talking about commission, not in your pictures, not in your private remarks, not with a secret code. They will be cracking down on it because that's what they agreed to in a legal settlement. Okay. Again, not a flow chart, but I was just trying to make it really, really clear. RMLS listing, you have to use the data input sheets. They don't care which contract you use. It can be the RMLS contract or the 1A SWF. Either one, they don't care. It can't be the 1A. That's
Hey,
your
Shanna.
RMLS option. Go ahead, Betsy.
Christine asked a question in the chat.
Sure.
She said, can we write BAC courtesy on Aligned as showings are booked?
No, Aligned is owned by RMLS and NAR. So none of you can do it on any third party you want to, except the ones controlled by RMLS.
Is showing time controlled?
Yes. But I think that they're getting rid of showing time and it'll just be Aligned. So no,
Yeah.
you can't put it in either of those. You can put it on your flyers. You can put it on your sign. You can put it on your social media. You can make a video about it. This discussion about commission is not about commission is bad and we can't talk about it. This is about RMLS agreed in a court of law. They would not publish commission. That's it. It doesn't have anything to do with whether you're getting a commission or not. It's about the publication on RMLS. They don't care if you put it anywhere else. So RMLS, use the data input sheets and then use their contract or the 1A SWF. And again, you're going to use the 1A SWF if you're not a full member of Northwest MLS, but you're filling out your forms in Zip Forms, in SkySlope, in Transaction Desk, any place other than doing it through Listing Load. If you don't know how to do it through Listing Load, I would sit down with you and show you. It takes 10 minutes to learn, and it is the easiest, by far best way, in my opinion. And Betsy, keep monitoring the chat if anything else comes up, because I'm
Got
too many screens going.
Deb mentioned the good old courtesy to brokers writer on the lawn sign.
Yeah. I mean, and you can, yeah, anything you can put it, they're predicting that there will be changes with the IDX feed, because like the RMLS IDX will go out. Will you now be able to log on to Zillow and manually enter a commission? Because Zillow is a third-party site. RMLS doesn't control them. So there may be, it's all going to be fluid. There's going to be more changes. So just do what you need to do to be compliant right now, but don't think any of this is written in stone, because once it goes into effect, it's all going to change, I guarantee. All right, Northwest MLS listing. Use Form 1A as you have always done if you are a member of Northwest MLS. If you are not, well, you're not putting it in Northwest MLS, so it doesn't matter. If you're not a full member, you can't do it. So I made this slide for nothing. Okay. Because that's right. If you're not a full member of Northwest MLS, your listing's not going there. So
You're going to need Betsy. You need Betsy's flow chart.
Okay. So listing is separate from buyer broker service agreement. The listing BAC discussion is separate from the buyer broker service agreement. So anybody have any questions about the listing BAC part of this before we move on?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I do.
Yeah, go ahead. Jump in, Rob.
What about listings that are currently active?
It will disappear. The BAC will no longer be there. The day that they flip the switch to no BAC, the field goes away in your entry forms and on existing listings.
Alrighty.
What
Yeah.
date is
So the date that it has to be done, there were a lot of dates discussed. August 17th is the lawsuit deadline date, which Annie Fitzsimmons pointed out is a Sunday. So that's stupid because you don't enforce whatever. You don't do legal things on a Sunday. August 13th is the date that RMLS put into place to make their changes so that by the deadline of the 18th, they would have it done, that it would be in place and the bugs would be worked out. So RMLS says their changes will be taking place on August 13th. There is no advantage. If you've got a listing coming up, there's no advantage to try to get it in before then, because on August 13th, the BAC is going away, whether it was already there or not. So some people were asking about that. Should I rush my listing to get it in there? It doesn't matter. It's going away.
Hey, Shanna, Christine has another comment in the chat. She said, we'll need to make sure there's no mention of it in the private remarks ourselves. Correct. And
Yes.
I would assume, yeah, obviously.
Yeah, they'll
ones that
flag
we-
it. They'll send you a warning if somebody at RMLS. And again, the lawyer says we will be heavily monitoring this. I don't know how they're going to monitor it. I don't know if they're going to run an analytic, run AI and have it flag every listing that has the word courtesy. I don't know. I don't know what they're doing. I do know, and everyone here knows, there's a couple of agents in Clark County that are sitting there going, oh, this is going to be fun, so that they can go through and flag listings to say, oh, she broke a rule. She broke a rule. We all know those people. They work at Keller Williams, and a couple at Windermere. But so yeah, somebody will be monitoring it, whether it is the person who's supposed to or just a busybody who is looking forward to this. It's the same people that were sitting outside of listings and calling Washington Realtors to report you going into a showing and one of your clients didn't have their mask on. Like, there are people who this is fun for them. So if you've got it in your private remarks, you probably just want to self-police and take it out. Or you can wait till you get flagged. I'm sure you won't get a fine. You'll get a warning until they've got the system dialed in. This slide,
Jana,
yeah,
can I say something
yes,
really
ma'am.
quick in regards to the private remarks? And this is Mobby, by the way. You can put your website on the private remarks so that people can go there to see what the BAC will be.
I don't, well, as of right now, can you put your website in the private remarks, or is that considered self-promotion?
No, so you
I
can't
thought-
put it, you can't put it in the public, but in the
Right.
private remarks per Kurt yesterday, you can put your website. It can't be a link, so you have to like, you know, write it out and or
Yes.
go to my website and put it in.
Yes, and you can also, if it's listed in also Northwest MLS, where the BAC will be showing, you can also put that. You can say also listed Northwest MLS and put the listing number. Can't put a link.
I have a
Right.
question.
Yes.
So for like things like Zillow that will pull from RMLS and Northwest MLS for their, postings, will the ones posted in RMLS not have the BAC, but the ones in Northwest MLS will still have a public BAC when it comes to like Zillow and Redfin and stuff like that?
As far as I know, if you go look at Zillow and Redfin, it doesn't pull the BAC now. for either
I've
of
definitely
them.
seen it.
You have seen it?
Yeah, not all of them, but I have seen multiple with
Okay,
BACs
'cause
listed.
so I don't know. I don't know. Nobody knows. It won't be coming from RMLS. I know that some third-party sites pull, so I don't know what they put in the IDX feed. I know Zillow gets the public remarks, not the private remarks. So I don't know if they get the BAC or not. But, and again, what they're predicting is there will be changes to where
And-
if it doesn't, then it might start. Or give you the opportunity to go in and manually enter it.
Can I add what might be going on?
Yes.
With Redfin is we noticed that when people would list a open house, if it was listed in both Northwest MLS and RMLS, if you didn't put the open house in Northwest MLS, it didn't show up by Redfin and Zillow. So I get the feeling just by that they're pulling more from if it's in both places, Northwest, which might be why sometimes you see it, sometimes you don't.
Yeah.
That's accurate. That is accurate. Because
Yeah,
I
so-
experienced that last week with things that I didn't do in Northwest MLS that I did in RMLS, and it was not showing on Zillow or Redfin until I corrected it in Northwest MLS.
Okay, so buyer broker service agreement, separate from listings. First of all, some people are like, I don't know what this lawsuit is about. It doesn't involve me. Everybody, and Angela, you might be a member of NAR. Are you like an auxiliary or an associate or an affiliate? But are you
Of RMLS or of what?
of NAR?
I was when I had an appraisal company, but no longer.
Okay, everybody else on this call is a member of NAR, whether you know it or not, whether you know your membership number or not. If you have an active real estate license and you have access to the RMLS, you are a member of NAR. It is a rule. It's whether you remember joining or not. So whatever this settlement agreement is, those rules apply to you. Even though Washington Northwest MLS is going to be publishing commissions, you're still part of the settlement because you are a member of NAR. So just keep that in mind. You are a part of the settlement. Listings in the RMLS with a Century Lock lockbox are governed by the RMLS. And the RMLS is requiring, with no exception, that you have a written agreement with your buyer before you enter a listing. You can be a Washington Realtor and not be a member of NAR, but nobody on this call is. But say if you are in King County and you only work in Northwest MLS, then maybe you never joined NAR. Then you are a whole different beast. But everybody on this call is a member of NAR. So that would change your interaction with the BAC discussion. It does not change the buyer broker service agreement. Every realtor in the state of Washington is required, without exception, to have a signed written agreement with your buyer before entering a listing. So that one is universal, whether it's RMLS or Northwest MLS. The state of Washington has made that. I want to say it's a law, but I don't even know if it's really a law. It might just be a statute, but it's beyond just part of the real estate code. It is now written into the RCWs. You need to have a written agreement with your buyer. You are supposed to, that is hard and fast. That is etched in stone. That is no negotiation. When are you supposed to give it to them? At the first opportunity. Now that is left open to a wide range of interpretation. So I think that, again, that's going to be fluid and things are going to change. But just know it is a requirement and it is supposed to be at the first opportunity. You have to have, here's another one that I learned yesterday. You have to have a written buyer broker service agreement to do a video tour. So if my client is moving here from California and I'm going to go do video walkthroughs, I still need that buyer broker service agreement in writing before I enter the listing. If I'm going to go into a listing and just make a video of it and email it to somebody, then I don't need it. Again, once all of this goes into play, well, the buyer broker service agreement has been in play in Washington since January 1st. But I think all of these things are going to continue to be somewhat fluid, but just realize that there's two separate issues: BAC discussion, buyer broker service agreement. Separate them out in your brain because it's two separate things. Okay, all three, RMLS, Northwest MLS, and Washington Association of Realtors, are doing classes on this topic. If you don't know where to find the classes, RMLS, scroll down on the homepage when you log in and you will get to the training calendar. Northwest MLS, you get to the, and again, you have to be a member of Northwest MLS to have access to their classes, I do believe. But they've got some free ones and some CEU ones. Washington Realtors has classes. Change is hard unless you're prepared. Forms and practice changes for summer 2024. That is happening August 6th, 3 CEUs. You don't have to be a member of Northwest MLS to go to that one. That's a Washington Realtor class. I think Annie Fitzsimmons is probably teaching it. And then in-house, we are doing a buyer service agreement CEU class in August also. So I know I'm saying this for the recording because everybody here is here. The people who are not here are also some of the people that are going to call me and ask questions that I already answered. And I am always happy to one-on-one with people, but I can't one-on-one with 40 different people about how to do a buyer service agreement. Like, we have to do it as a group, or you have to go get that info somewhere. Like, I'm happy to answer questions when you have issues, but you need to get into a class. Our class, someone else's class. It's a complicated 3-page flipping form. Our class, we are going to go over it line by line. What does this mean? How do I explain it to my client? We've also created an in-house buyer service agreement that gets it down to 1 page. You are welcome to use that as well. It works for both Washington and Oregon. For the CEU class, we will be going through the Washington buyer service agreement. Oregon has 2 because now we have 2 forms entities in Oregon, OREF and OREA. And they each have their own buyer service agreement. And I believe one of them is 3 pages and the other one is 2. I compared all of them. And the Oregon ones are very similar in content, just different in verbiage to the Washington one. They're all massively long, technically written, and overwhelming to sit down with a client you barely know and review. That's how that works. Okay, if you need a break from your brain exploding due to these new changes, we are having our barbecue this Sunday at my house. We're going to do sausages and dogs and burgers or whatever on the grill. If you want to bring a side or a dessert to share, we would love that. We'll have some beer and wine and some non-alcoholic drinks. If you have something particular you want, you can bring that. My house has 3 dogs. They're little dogs and they're barky and nippy. Sorry in advance. It is not kid friendly. Like teenagers are okay because, you know, you have to sign a waiver saying it's okay for my dog to bite your teenager. But other than that, little kids can sometimes get overwhelmed because my dogs will jump on them. But I hope you'll be able to come. And if you haven't RSVP'd, you can do that and let us know. And I vow that we will not talk about NAR for the duration of the event. We all need a NAR break. Camas Days is coming up. We are giving away water bottles at Camas Days. So tomorrow from 3 to 6, Tabitha's hosting a little happy hour. If you want to go have a little cocktail and a little snack and put labels on water bottles, whether you're participating in Camas Days or not. Tabitha is the queen of the Washougal Chamber of Commerce. And so there's always a little networking opportunity there because there's always people dropping in from the community and from the local businesses. That office is a little hub of Washougal hobnobbing. So if you want a little networking opportunity, have a little time with other agents and other community members, pop in tomorrow, 3 to 6, and slap some labels on some water bottles.
And you guys, if any of you have not considered doing a shift at Camas Days, you should. I did it last year with Tabitha. Angela was there. And we had several people there last year. I don't even remember everybody, but this year I'm not able to go. I'm going to be out of town, but I have leads I received from working the booth with Tabitha last year and then helping her in the beer garden in the evening. I made like $300 in tips, and I have people that I'm slowly working with, but hey, doesn't matter when it happens. There's still people that connected with me and that I reached out to and I'm working with. And it's just, and also we can't leave it all on Tabitha. Like it's a lot of weight to carry. So if any of you are even thinking about it, even if you can't help get it set up, being there for a little while and giving Tabitha a break would be amazing. So.
Yeah, the dates, it's on the screen right now. It's July 26th and 27th. Tabitha's got the sign up sheet if you want to do a shift and collect leads. We have a game that people will be coming to the booth to play. They will fill out their game entry with their contact info. Our game usually gets a lot of entries because we have a kick-ass prize, which is a Yeti cooler with a bunch of cool swag in it, bunch of summer themed stuff. So hundreds of people, we got hundreds of contact. I don't want to say leads, but prospects. We got hundreds of prospects added to databases at this event last year. So if you want to be a part of that, hit Tabitha up and let her know when you're available. And it's a fun event. It's a huge event. It gets news coverage. Another event, this will be at the Uptown office on August 17th. Our office is one of the stops on the Sip and Stroll. Sorry, I have a mechanic in my driveway working on Iris's car, and he must have just moved because my dogs just woke up. At the Uptown office, we'll be doing the Sip and Stroll. We don't know yet who our vendor will be, but it'll be a beer, wine, or cider or spirit to sip on. They'll assign somebody. All the different distilleries and breweries participate. So one of them will be stationed at our office doing their pouring. If you want to help manage that, you won't be pouring, but you will just be mingling and schmoozing with people. Hundreds of people come through on this event. If you've never done Sip and Stroll, it's really fun. So we will be one of the designated stops on the map. If you want to be a part of this, let me know and I will tell you what you need to do. All right, that was a jam-packed hour and we are at the hour on the minute. Does anybody want to unmute and throw anything out for group feedback? Do you need help with a listing? Do you have a buyer with a specific need? Or is your brain melted at this point?
Shanna, I have a question for you.
Yes.
So I have a listing coming up next month. And I got the listing agreement signed already this month, but then it's not updated with that listing agreement that doesn't show the buyer's agent.
Yes,
And
good
so do I have to
question.
do it?
I forgot to talk about that. Our MLS is putting out an addendum and you will have to get the addendum signed for all of your existing listings that are active. And it'll be an addendum telling your seller that we can't discuss commissions on the MLS anymore and that that's going to be removed.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, it's not published yet, but they said it would be out by the 13th of August so that we would have them in place by the 18th of August. But yeah, it's a one-page addendum and every active listing will need to have it signed. Thank you for bringing that up. I forgot to throw that in on the slides. That 2-hour meeting with 2 lawyers and a tech guy was a lot to comprehend. And that was an important part that I kind of forgot about. So yes, that addendum will be forthcoming. Anybody else?
Yeah, Maggie has a question in the chat. She said she wants to know if anyone has had negative feedback when submitting a 41C. She had a listing agent tell her that it turned their seller off.
So 41C, I know her situation. She was requesting that the very low BAC be raised. Is that what that one was?
I think so.
Yeah, it wasn't even that much of a difference. It was like maybe 0.5%. But my understanding is that you can submit that and then they can say yes or no. But with this agent, she just said that just completely turned her seller off and that hindered my ability to negotiate. And so if that's the case, should we be instead just calling it closing costs and just forego that step altogether? Because I don't want to be doing.
I mean, depending on the loan type and the lender, you can't just call it closing costs. Like that's a whole discussion that's still
Right.
evolving. But
so are we just, I mean, do you think we're just at the mercy of the sellers and I should just forget it if they're not offering?
You should ask her what her commission is.
well, that doesn't help either. Getting aggressive doesn't usually help the situation, but I like where you're
Oh,
headed.
but I wanna.
She deserves some aggression, let's be honest.
No, I think people are going to just have to get used to this is how it works now. And especially as they're putting in these lower and lower commissions or a 0 commission, even in Northwest MLS where the commission is published, like that was in our MLS, I'm assuming.
Mm-hmm.
And well, in a couple of weeks, you won't even know what they're offering. So that
Yeah.
that turned my client off conversation is gonna be gone. And now it's gonna be, you know, in commercial real estate, there are no offered commissions. The commercial agent writes the offer and includes the addendum that says my commission is 3% or my commission is 2.5%. And they include that addendum with the offer. I would think that would be the best way for this to evolve for us, is if that just became part of every offer. But now you're getting into a situation where your cut rate agents are going to be getting their offers accepted more eagerly than the full price agents, because now the seller is like, well, I'll take that offer because it's less commission. And
Yeah.
hopefully you've got listing agents who can also say, I like that idea, but I will tell you, you get what you pay for. And if you want to work with a discount agent, we're going to, you know, there's going to be issues with the representation. But it's going to be,
And possible
just,
sale
we're going to
fails.
see how it evolves. You know, I don't have an answer.
Okay, and another question I had, maybe I dreamt it, but I thought I read it somewhere. Are they going to start listing the listing agents commissions at some point?
No, there's
I've-
not on RMLS, there's going to be no commissions.
Yeah, I don't know where I saw that, if it was just on North NWMLS, but I'll research into that. I can't remember where I heard that from, but okay.
Yeah.
It just seems like it
well,
would-
oh, go ahead, Rob.
Oh, sorry. It just seems like it'd be much easier if they're requiring us to have buyer broker agreements that on page 1 of the PSA, just a simple line item with a percent or a flat fee. Seller agrees to pay buyer agent in the offer.
It is. That is on Form 21. And we have to check the
Mhm.
box as offered or other. So yeah, that's
Yeah,
there.
just tweak it. I mean, it just seems like that's a simple solution. Not as off, just remove as offered, but part of the offer. This is my fee, pay it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree, because then you can skip the step of figuring out what is being offered and getting documentation as to that.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
just to cover yourself.
that's going to naturally happen on the 13th when the BAC goes away for RMLS.
And I think we have to do that as buyer's agents. We really have to be proactive about putting in our numbers about, here's what I charge, here's what my BAC is, because I really dislike the fact that we need to call now the listing agent and say, hey, what's the BAC being offered? Because that's going to change from person to person. Like not listing to listing. That's going to be like, oh, I know you and I like working with you, so we're offering 2.5%, or I don't know you, or you have a horrible reputation, so we're offering 1%.
I didn't even think of that. Yeah.
Well, and the
Right.
problem
And it
with
also
that is
opens
that
us
we've
up
now
to
got
your
agents making decisions for sellers, which is not okay. And I mean, we get it all the time where a listing agent, oh yeah, no, they're not going to take that. Well, you know what? I want you to ask them, because it's not up to you. It's up to them. I hope that it evolves into a situation where this just becomes another negotiable. Just like asking for closing costs. My client wants $10,000 in closing costs, and you write the counter offer that says, we'll give them 6. Like, it just becomes another negotiable. I write that I want 3% commission, and they counter back and say the seller's offering 2.25. Now I go to my buyer and I'm like, do you want me to ask again, or do you want to make up the difference? And that's all outlined in your buyer's agency agreement. You know, your buyer has to give you their permission to negotiate that commission. They have to agree that they want you to ask the seller, because they might not, like Maggie just said, if they're going to say no, that might turn them off. Then you may end up where your buyer says, no, I'm covering that 0.25%. I don't want to rock the boat. I really want this house. It's going to be weird, and it's going to take a while to get unweird, and it's going to be fluid, and it's going to change, I think, a couple of times before we've got an actual working system. That's what I think is going to happen. Oh, Carly
And
wants,
something completely different. Does
Yeah.
anybody have buyers that have a need for either a home with office space that is part of the house but completely separatable? So like if they own a massage studio and want to run that from their house, or a tax office or something like that. And in the same vein, does somebody have a buyer who needs a wheelchair accessible home? Because I've got that in Beaverton, and I would love to get that sold in the next week.
Mom, do you know if Raquel would be open to go to Beaverton for her business? Because that would be what she's looking for.
yeah, ask her, send her a text and ask her. I don't know if she's we have an investor client who is buying up properties for adult home care, but I don't know if she is licensed to work in Oregon or if she's just Washington.
This would be perfect for that, because like the both of the bathrooms are already accessible. One of them has a walk-in tub with the door that closes, and then the other bathroom has a roll-in shower. So they're both
Yeah,
absolutely set and ready to
we
go.
will ask her. I don't know. I don't know if she can, like, I don't know if she can go into Oregon or not. Also, the Uptown office is closing early today, about 2:30. So that Carly can go on an appointment. So if anybody wants to use the office, go on in, just don't freak out when you see that it's empty.
What was the price point on that property?
It is it's 610 right now, I believe.
Thank you.
Throw the
We
throw
have-
the MLS number in the chat so we can look it up.
Hey, this is Miranda. Do you guys, I have a buyer that needs a house in Camas Washougal, max budget, 700K, minimum square footage, 2,000 square feet. And she likes a gas stove and newer the better.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone have a seller or something coming up soon that has Camas Washougal?
Has she already exhausted everything on the MLS? Like nothing's worked
Yes.
for her? Okay.
Yeah. We're looking at 2 more Saturday. I just don't know if they're going to work, but yeah, we've exhausted everything out there in her budget. I mean, everything's around 750, 800 in Camas Washougal. Really, it's super hard to find.
Yeah, I don't have anything in my pocket out there. Shoot.
Okay. Well, if anyone has anything coming up, any broker friends that have anything, love to work with somebody, get this done. So cool. Thank you.
All right. Anybody? All right. Thank you, everybody, for being thoughtful and attentive to these annoying issues. I know that it's a lot we're already busy. Like, why do we need to be busy with new minutia? But yet here we are. So have a great rest of the week and enjoy the sun. Bye.